Hey everybody, it's Nick Inman, founder of VolumeProfileTrader.com on Saturday, January 5th, and we're looking at the S&P here, and this is a market that just continues to gradually rise after the first of the year and after a little bit of resolution on the fiscal cliff, and that's what you want to see overall. You just want to see a market that goes in a predictable direction, and that's where we're getting right now with the markets. You look around at everything that's working, and a lot is working. A lot continues to work and outperform the 0.5% gains that we got today on the S&P. Take a name like Goldman Sachs, up 2.75% on Friday, or take a name like Las Vegas Sands, up almost 3%. Those are some fibs right there. Up almost 3% on Friday, and this just continues to move away from its point of control for the year. If we ever get a pullback in this is something that you're going to want to be interested in buying. But going back to the S&P, what I'm looking for here is, all right, what are we going to do? We're back at the top end of the range. I have a feeling that we may get a little bit of resistance here. There may be a little bit of a pullback, but ultimately I do think that this pullback will be bought, and we will see new highs on the S&P, and we will eventually go test that 1500 level. Now, I could be wrong, but given the way this is going, beginning of the year, money flowing into the market, and also, just to point out, 30-year treasuries, continuing to sell off, although we probably made a short-term low on Friday, and 10-year also. So, money kind of coming out of bonds right now, which means it's got to go somewhere, and that's why you're seeing some nice performance in the market. So one thing I want to point out is last weekend, I did point out, the only index that looked good was the Russell in terms of structure against its point of control for the year. And notice that was on the 28th. And notice the next day, the next trading day, the 31st, we got a huge turnaround and then a follow through. That's why these point of controls are important. Look at something, and I'm kind of digressing here, but look at something like Capital One. Same thing. You have the 200-day, but you also have the point of control right down at these levels. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to be a part of. I think Target was one too. Yeah. Right down. I'm going to zoom out some so we can see it. The point of control is right down here around 57 and some change, and our lows were basically 58. So you're probably less than 1%. You are less than 1% off this point of control. And on top of that, let's say, I'm just going from the bottom to the top, 58 up to 60, call it 61, just because we're going to make it easy. A $3 bounce on a slow mover like Target in 2 days or 3 days, that's something. And those are predictable, high probability trades that you can be a part of. So, that's kind of what we're doing here. I guess what I'm going to do now is just go into some names really quick, some names that I think are going to continue to move higher. Boeing, I'm just going to kind of give it away. Members know I did the newsletter last week, or I should say the beginning, it must have been Tuesday or Wednesday. And what we saw was, I mentioned, hey, Boeing, that's the name that you want to kind of look at this year for some good outperformance, new highs sort of thing. And, if you get a pullback anywhere towards the mid-70s, I think you pull the trigger on something like Boeing. Just to give you an example of something that looks like it's going to break out to new highs, and I'm going to explain why, is Colgate. One, you have the 200-day, which finally caught up, which it looks like the last time the 200-day was hit, we saw nothing but an up ramp. But on top of that is you got your period of consolidation, 6 months long, and I love the fact that this point of control migrated higher into these levels. Now you look for your entry, bottom of the channel sort of thing. Bam, you get it. Now it's at the top end, so you don't necessarily have a good risk reward. But if this is something that you want to be a part of that you think is going to move up towards, say, 120, this isn't a bad thing to scale into over time. Wait for your opportunities. When you get them, take them, and kind of go from there. Similarly, IBM, this is a little bit of a laggard, but, there's nothing wrong with that. We can still look for a little bit of performance here. And what I'm looking at is you have your highs. I'm going to zoom in some. All right, you have your highs, and then you have your higher lows. And I love the point of control for the year right in this level. So you give this a little bit of time to work out, but if you want to get involved at 193.99, you keep your stop below 189, and obviously you'd buy small, you'd scale in, and you'd wait for your real entry to really get involved in this thing. But I'm looking at around 191 or so. Basically, this gap close for a real potential entry, and if we get that, then that's something that I want to be a part of. Realize we are at the 20-day moving average, so we need to keep an eye on that too. But it's just something to point out. Similarly, Verizon. I mean, this thing looks poised to make a move higher, and we want to be a part of this. So what you have here is a name that's bounced off its 200-day, just like we have here, 200-day moving average twice now, and now we have the point of control now supporting this thing since the new year. So again, this is something that I think that you can get into and looking towards $50 to the upside. So slow mover, collect a dividend sort of thing. Earnings come out on the 22nd, so that's just something that you want to be aware of. But this looks good. It looks like it's going to try and make a move higher. Wells Fargo, now this has been a laggard as far as the banks go. I have one other bank to show you. But it's one of those things where, okay, sloppy chart, but we definitely see that 36, or so is resistance. But I love the fact that this point of control for the year and all of these moving averages are right below this price. So I really think your floor is around 33.5. So keep that in mind. You're about $1.50 above the floor. I don't think you need to pile in here. But again, if this is something that you believe in long term for the first quarter of 2013, this looks good. Earnings come out on the 11th. So maybe you get a little bit of a position before earnings. Let earnings go through. If you get a nice pop, then you made a little bit of money. You probably want to take profits, wait for a pullback. Or if you, get involved and it misses, or I should say the stock comes in, that's probably your opportunity to add to this. So Wells Fargo looks pretty good. Not US, yeah, Bancorp, USB. Here we're looking at, again, point of control for the year. What's it doing? It's supporting this market, and now you have a little bit of a sideways consolidation, a breakout to the upside. This is something that on any weakness you probably want to get involved with in looking towards 2012 highs for as far as the target is concerned. So just keep that in mind, and just keep it in mind, right? All right, Apple. I had a trade in this last week going into this week, and it actually was a pretty good trade. I really can't complain on it. The trade was buying in at 509, took a little bit of profits, I think around 513 or so, and then I took the rest of the profits around 544 or 545. I don't remember the exact price. I do think it was on the 3rd, though, and now we're seeing Apple pull back. Now, what I want to say about Apple is, we're seeing a pullback, obviously, but you want to keep an eye on this value area low for the year. I don't think there's a rush to get in, like if you wanted to be a buyer of Apple here. I don't think there's a rush right here, right now. 50-day moving average still coming down. Let it do what it has to do. This was a short-term bounce. That's all it was. Now we're getting a pullback. We want to wait for our entry, which is the bottom of the range, and then you look for another bounce. If you shorted this thing against the 50-day, obviously it's working out for you. But again, your target is coming soon, and you want to be paying attention to that. You don't want to be overexposed to the long side or to the short side here. I don't think, at least. And I do want to say that Apple's kind of a market neutral name, and I'm just talking about in terms of since these 590 swing highs or so. I think we're trying to carve out a base here. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I'm going with. Google, this is a trade that I've just kind of missed. All right, I think the best way to look at this is on a 3-day chart. You had your long-term sideways consolidation. You got your breakout. You got your pullback, a test of the breakout, and now you're seeing another rise. I mean, this is going to the highs of last year, 775. That's what it looks like, at least. and this thing looks like it just wants to keep going. So if we do get an entry in this, I'll let you know. Also, one level to be aware of is 750 or so, and I'll show you. I know this is a big screen here, but 750, that's the point of control for last month. 753, just keep an eye on that. We'll touch it. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of resistance there, so just, write that down. Set an alert around 745 or so, about 2%, about 1% above current levels, and I'm sure that you'll see a little bit of resistance starting to come into play there. All right, 6E. Now this is the euro. This was actually a pretty profitable trade from the newsletter standpoint. Said that it looked weak and looking for more downside. Well, guess what? We got 2 days of lower lows here, and that's what you want to be a part of from the short side, of course. So we'll just have to wait and see where this goes from here. We're at levels where, okay, we're still making higher lows and we're still making higher highs. However, if you zoom out a bit, what I see is the bottom end of the range, the top end of the range, and a little bit of resistance right here. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to, try to thread the needle here. I saw a short-term downtrend. We caught it. Whether it continues to go, I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to leave it at that. On the opposite end, we look at the dollar. Oh, that's why it looks so weird. Let me zoom in. I was wondering why it kind of looked funny. There we go. Top end of the range. We're just below the point of control for the year. That's fine as long as we recaptured it in some way. If you want to look on the hourly chart, my target was the point of control for last month, which is 130.86 or so. We gapped below that on Friday and recaptured those levels towards the end of the day. So you just want to kind of keep that on your radar. Realize that the 50-day and the 90-day point of control, 50-day moving average and the 90-day point of control are around 129.60 or so, give or take, 10 ticks. So just keep that in mind as far as a potential bounce. But looking at the dollar, this is something that's breaking out of its point of control for the year. 200-day, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of resistance. But this looks relatively strong. And considering, I guess the main thing is considering that the market's been strong also. To see a strong dollar, I think something does have to kind of give, and that's why I am a little concerned on the S&P. Just the fact that we are at these highs again, probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see some type of retracement back towards 1425 or so. Not saying we're going to get there. But I'm just kind of keeping my eye out for that. So, anyways, members, what I did want to say is we're going to change up things a little bit. I'm going to have a new swing trading strategy, which I'm going to make a video for. What it's going to do, it's going to concentrate on a few names, and we're just going to trade them really well. And also, from a day trading standpoint, what I'm going to do is every morning in the member forum, I'm going to post the S&P future levels and maybe the NASDAQ levels that I'm looking at for the day. Maybe Apple too, because Apple's a big one. But I'm gonna put the day trading levels up for the day that I watch, and therefore, if you want to day trade and look at those levels to trade off of, you can, and they're at your convenience. So, anyways, that's really it. Kind of going to leave it at that. Overall, market looks pretty strong. I think there's a lot of names, especially on a pullback, that you want to get involved in. We covered some of them here. So anyways, take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next time.